Hi, this is Freedom's Witness. It's been a while since I've reached out to my audience or just people in general. But since everything about me is about free, I speak about being free all the time. I thought I would take a minute to talk to you all about my trip to Cuba. And there were so many things that stood out about that trip. I mean, the beauty notwithstanding, but the fact that the people were so different from what I'm used to seeing. They were just, Cuban blacks and Cubans living a very we see you Americans over there, but we don't care about you Americans over here because we live in this kind of lifestyle that's just not American. I mean, they were very relaxed, very laid back. Most Cubans live on an average of $25 to $30 a month, and then if you're on the upper class, you might be making, you might be bringing home about $1,500 to $2,000 a month, and they just did not seem to be bothered by our expectation of how people view us as wealthy people or whatever. They seem to be living life in their own lane, seem to be very happy. I noticed a lot of crazy things that I had never seen before, like, for example, no machinery or very little machinery. Guys cutting grass with machetes, swinging those machetes, and the way the grass and the bushes laid out after they were done was immaculate. It was amazing how it was so even. I also noticed that, or we recall when I got there, that Cuba is mostly a socialist, communist country, which means that the government pretty much runs and owns everything and provides for their citizens at a very basic level, including, but not limited to, providing health care and education. And I didn't get begged on by anyone. No one on the street came up and said, "Hey man, can I have $1 or can you help me out with some food?" That's an American thing, right? I'm sure it happens in other countries, but I'm mostly familiar with what happens in the United States. And I just noticed that everybody had a home. Some of these homes were humongous. They were beautiful beyond compare. Like, the average American could never afford the homes that they have in Cuba and the United States. They would just be impossible. They would be $1 million homes and up. They were just unbelievably beautiful. And as we were walking down the street and looking in these side of people's homes, like, they didn't have no furniture, no fancy TVs on the wall, no fancy anything. But they were in there talking to people. They weren't on their cell phones. They were either watching TV, and they had lots of people gathered around, lots of music and food, and they were just enjoying themselves. And as Americans, we're walking by looking at them like they're in the zoo and we're on the outside. But actually, what I think it was is we bought the zoo to them. And they're just thinking, these guys come down here to look at us, and they probably wag their head. They're probably thinking we wag our head at them, but they're probably wagging their head at us because their life is so different than ours. And yet it's not nearly as violent and crazy and psychotic as ours. And so, long story short, I totally enjoyed myself. And after taking about 2 or 3 days, or 2 days actually, to get used to the fact that I have no control over internet wireless. There's nothing I can do about anything going on in the United States in my life, period. Anything happening, if something is burning, if one of my apartments are burning down, it's burning down. There's like nothing I can do about it. And then once you settle into that fact, you just like take a deep breath, put your phone down, and you just kind of like breathe and go, you know what, this is cool. And hey, how are you today? And how are you today? And what's your name? And where you been? And tell me a little bit about your life. Like, you have no choice but to talk to people and drink your rum, have a cigar, eat some fruit, sit back, go out into the beautiful world and see some amazing things. So, long story short, after coming back to the U.S., it's just like, man, oh man, like, what am I worried about? Like, my life is great and amazing in every single way. But is it really? Because I have to come back, pay these credit card bills off. I got to make that car note. I got to pay for these properties. I got to worry about a tenant doing this and a tenant doing that, or just my job, my boss. I got to worry about all these things. And in reality, they're not really important, because when I was in Cuba, I thought, oh my God, I need a text. I need to see what's going on. And Cuba was like, nah, we don't do that here because we don't have internet for you. And when I got back, guess what? Nothing was burning. Nothing was on fire. My mom or dad weren't going crazy. My kids, who don't talk to me anyway, no one was on the front porch saying, "Daddy, we need you," or "The world is coming to an end. What are we going to do?" Everything kept on going. The only difference was I came back with an extreme amount of peace. I came back feeling relaxed and with a new perspective. Now I can't wait to travel again. So I probably want to go back to Cuba again because there were so many things that we didn't get to do. But when I got here, I just got back home, I just realized that there's just nothing to be worried about. Life is too big for that. And all the little worries that you're thinking about every day, that saps your freedom. So I take that shit and put it in a bag and ship it off to Cuba. It'll sit in the airport for 12 hours before anybody picks it up. But I can tell you what, man, is half the shit I worry about every day, I'm not worried about. Like my job, like business, all this stuff, man, I can pack up and move to the country and find my happiness there. That's like, it's just, the United States living, democratic living, and capitalistic living is so fucking overrated. It's ridiculous. And just coming back and having this incredible feeling of restfulness and peacefulness, like I can't even put anything on it. I can't even explain it. Even now, I see shit going by and happening, and I'm just looking. I'm like, oh, look at that. It's burning. The world is burning. Okay. Oh, look at that. Trump 45. He's doing some crazy shit. Okay. Whatever. Am I going to let it take my life and my world apart and my happiness apart? Nah, not at all. So just to kind of cap all that, I mean, like freedom is a willfulness of the mind. Freedom is having freedom of thought and freedom of action. You don't need much to be happy. You don't need much to survive. Now, I'm a long ways from dumping everything, but in my mentality, I'm realizing you don't need no more debt. You don't need to buy another car. You don't need no more of this. You don't need no more of that. What you need is more savings. What you need is live below your means as much as you possibly can. Don't be uncomfortable. But if you can invest in more property, do that. If you can save a little money over here, do that. If you can travel more and plan for your life to live with an extreme smaller amount, like you got to do that. Like those guys in Cuba, I can't even imagine what it's like to live on 25, 30 bucks a month. I mean, $25. I mean, that's in my pocket at all times. It's in your pocket at all times. And like, well, our last day there, we gave our maid like basically 3 or 4 months worth of salary, because we had this money in Cuban money, kooks, that we didn't want to keep. And we gave it to her, and she just staring at us like, please come back, please don't leave, take me with you. You know, that the level of appreciation there was amazing. So I feel like, man, if I had to leave this country and go rough it out someplace, and I had my own home, and I had a patch to make food or grow food, and I could have my computer where I can write and do things like that, an occasional internet, and some rum and a cigar and my lady, shit, I see y'all people later. All right, so that's all I got for now. I'm Freedom's Witness, and this is fun. I'll have more later. Maybe some interesting content.